If you think you're drinking too much, then you need to listen to this really, because the question really is, are you drinking for fun, or is it out of control? I'm going to go back a few years now when I was working in central London, and I was drinking for fun then. As in, I could drink a lot, and I also enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it, otherwise I wouldn't drink with me. So basically, I had a nice house in Epping. The pub was a decent walk away, maybe 20 minutes away. There's a few pubs in the high street. And I had a bit of cash, wife had a decent job, and I used to like to drink. And I worked shifts then, I was in the police then. And we used to get one weekend off, like a long weekend off, every few weekends, maybe once every 5 or something. And that to me, it's before I had children, that to me was my big excuse or big time for drinking. My wife didn't really drink, didn't really want to socialise that much. We used to go for the odd meal and stuff, but really it was my weekend. I thought, wow, I've had a busy few weeks, busy few days, I'm going to hit the drink. I loved it. I was fit. I used to take the dog for a walk at a local pub and all that. But on weekends, I used to think, well, I'm going to go to the pub. She didn't want to go out, so I'm going to go out. Because it was quite a long walk, I used to pedal, take a pedal bike down. I was all dressed up, it must look a bit odd, in a velvet jacket and a lovely shirt, and I had this pedal bike. And I used to cycle down this long road into Ebbing Village, and there's a few pubs there. There's a Black Lion, Golden Lion, something like that. There's about 4 or 5 good boozers I used to go to. One had bands on, so on this typical Saturday, I used to have a few drinks at lunchtime. In the Forest Gate one pub. She was at work on the Saturday morning, worked for a building society, a few beers, and then I'd make a meal. And I'd think, well, I've got to get ready and go out, because she wouldn't go out. So I used to cycle down, but every time I cycled down, I was fine. I had a few pints during the day, and on the bike, I was really, really, really quite good. I'm a good cyclist when I'm sober. So it's a pretty amusing story, but this is how it gets you in a mess and you become out of control. So I'd go to this boozer and I'd chain the bike up outside. And then I'd think, well, at some point I've got to get home. And I used to get on the bike and I could never cycle back. I must have done it 500 times, okay, cycle back. And I kept falling off. So in the end, I used to just walk back with this bike. It obviously takes a bit of time to manoeuvre the bike and walk at the side of it as well, next to a busy main road. And as time went on, when the years ticked over and I had my daughter and I was still doing the same thing, I still think I could do the same thing. And I would cycle to the pub and I would walk back. But in time, I was getting worse when I was walking back. I used to fall over. I used to fall over thinking, I've got to get back. I was always felt under pressure to get back in time, you see. So I used to get on the bike and I used to fall over a lot and cut my head and cut my arm and all this sort of thing. And it became really dangerous. Sometimes I would like drift into the road and stuff like, So basically it was really, really not good. And what I'm trying to get over here is when the fun time becomes difficult or dangerous, you've really got to look at yourself and think, well, hang on a minute, this is going wrong. Really wrong. And that was probably in my early 30s then, Anyway, I managed to calm down a little bit, came off it a little bit, and then I drank again, and I thought I was drinking for fun. But what happens is, to me, or with me, it always got out of control. And we used to go on holiday quite a bit. Much we could actually go to Italy and things, and she would drive. And then it was another excuse for me to have a fun time, but it got out of control. I used to go down to Italy, and then I used to start on the drink. Beautiful sunny weather down by Lake Garda, Lake Como, something like that. Cheap booze in the sunshine, no responsibility, on holiday. Everyone goes on holiday for that reason, don't they? But my drink got to the point where I was drinking in the morning, and then the afternoon, then going for a meal at night, drinking some more, then going back to the campsite, and then she would go to bed with my daughter and whatnot, and then I would just sit most of the night, just staring at the stars and listening to this Euro radio thing, which is great, trance music and all that. What I thought I was living the dream, I was actually killing myself, really. And when it gets out of control like that, there's not much you can do about it. It's like a runaway train. And this is the problem, you see. when the fun gets out of control, because it will get out of control very quickly. I know a guy who's recently retired. Well, recently by that I mean about 3 years ago. He was quite a fit guy, and he used to like a drink, but it was always maybe 4 or 5 pints, nothing major. Now he's drinking all day, every day, and it's causing him massive health problems. So as we get older, we've got to watch it more. And the fun, unfortunately, if you get to that stage, is gone. We can't chase this 21-year-old drinking session again. You've got to, well, this sounds a bit weird, but you've got to grow up. You've got to get out of that. As you get older, your body can't take that. Your mind can't take that at all. I've got massive anxiety as well. You've got to lift yourself out of that and think, right, that chapter's done. All right, that chapter's finished. And it sounds easy on paper just to quit drinking. You can't just quit drinking overnight. It takes a long time to turn back the clock 40 years. If you're my age and you started drinking when you're in your mid-teens. But you've got to try and get out of this. I'm missing out on this, missing out on that, because you're not really. You're going to kill yourself. That's the top and bottom of it, if you don't get a grip of it. And realise that that chapter's over. And there's another wonderful chapter ahead. You know, there is a tomorrow. If you think yourself, well, there's no tomorrow, I'm just going to drink myself, you know, into an early death, it's up to you. I've got friends, well, drinking buddies, I would say, from years ago. And I'll say to them, I'm going to give it a rest, cut down. I'm not telling them what to do. I'm not preaching. I'm just having a chat. No, I've got to die of something. But I'm going to tell you something. It's a slow, painful death. I've seen people die of liver issues and alcohol-related disease and this sort of thing. So when the fun is starting to turn into grief, you've got to really look at yourself and think, I've got to stop this. And you can stop it. You just need to have a very strong want or an incentive or a reasoning, call it, yeah? Because only you can do it. Only yourself. The doctors can help you a little bit. I mean, if you really like I was, and they stitched me up really, they repaired me, which is incredible. I didn't think I'd ever see the light of day again. But if you're starting to feel a bit weary, a bit like the hair of the dog, a bit, you've got some withdrawals, you start to shake a bit, you're sweating a lot, you're not sleeping properly, you're not eating properly, you're putting on weight, or you're losing weight, whatever it is, it affects people in different ways. You really have to take some action and take it for yourself. And don't think, well, I'm bored, I'm going to go to the pub. It's so easy to get in the pub. It's so difficult to get out of it. You know, and you can relapse a few times. I relapsed many times, but eventually it'll just click. It did with me because I was so ill. It'll click that you've got to stop, and you've got to stop for life. That's an unfortunate thing. And when people say, oh, you're not going to ever drink again, it panics people. So you should break it down and think of it, well, I'm not going to have a drink today. I'm not going to have a drink tomorrow. I'm going to try and do it one step at a time, one day at a time. That's the best way to think about it. And let's turn the clock. Well, don't turn it back. You can't turn it back. You can wind the clock up again. And one saying I would push all the time is, you're not just adding years to your life. You want to add life to your years. Because I'm 60 now. And I think I've got a good future now. I've got a good life now. I didn't have before. I was right at the bottom. I was depressed. I was ill. Liver issues, I had blood problems, I had kidney problems, heart problems, I had every problem. And when you take the poison out of that, your body will fight for you if you look after it and you fight for yourself. If you enjoy the videos or you benefit from them, please subscribe and drop me a comment. But just one final word on this. If you're having fun, have fun. But if you want to live a decent life, you want to live a healthy life, you want to be a better person, then cut out the alcohol. I'll speak to you soon.